Okay, so for our week 5, we will be discussing the tax on income. So basically, this is the income tax proper that we will be discussing. But before we delve into the procedures and other factors that affects income taxation, we will first discuss the definition of terms. Okay. Okay. So the term person means an individual, a trust, estate, or a corporation. So in the uh, in the in uh, in the NIRC, or the National Income Revenue Code, when you say about, when the code states about a person, it means an individual or a person, right? Then a trust, an estate, or a corporation. So corporation yan. So trust is created by law. Estate is the property of the decedent, and the corporation is created by special law, or basically created by the corporation code. The term corporation shall include one-person corporation, partnership, no matter how created or organized, joint stock companies, joint accounts, or also known as cuentas en participación, association, or insurance companies. So, with the advent of the revision of our corporation code, so before you can create a corporation, you need to have 5 person. But with the new revision that we have right now, the corporation code was revised, which you can already create a corporation even though that you are only one person. Corporation does not include general professional partnership, or GPPs, and a joint venture or consortium form for the purpose of undertaking construction projects or engaging in petroleum, coal, geothermal, and other energy operations pursuant to an operating consortium agreement under a service contract with the government. So, for example, the creation of a project which multiple companies will join together so that they can accomplish that said project. So that would not be considered as a corporation. GPPs, or General Professional Partnership, are partnership formed by person for the sole purpose of exercising their common profession, no part of the income of which is derived for engaging in any trade or business. So basically, this is for the sole purpose of conducting based on their profession. An example of that is a law firm. Law firm is considered as GPPs. Another example is auditing firms, which there are many partners or multiple partners. Same with the law firm, there are multiple lawyers who created that law firm for the purpose of practicing their profession. When we say about domestic, it applies when it applies to a corporation, means create or organize in the Philippines or under its law. So when we say domestic corporation, the corporation was created by virtue of the corporation code. The term foreign, when applied to a corporation, means a corporation which is not domestic, meaning the law that that corporation was created is not the corporation or the revised corporation code of the Philippines. The term non-resident citizen means a citizen of the Philippines who establishes to the satisfaction of the commissioner the fact of his physical presence abroad with a definite intention to reside therein. Another is a citizen of the Philippines who leaves the Philippines during the taxable year to reside abroad, either as an immigrant or for employment on a permanent basis. Another is a citizen of the Philippines who work and derives income from abroad and whose employment thereat requires him to be physically present abroad most of the time during the taxable year. And what we say about most of the time. So if we have 365 days in a year, so 50% plus 1, that would be most of the time that he is abroad, and that Filipino citizen will be considered non-resident citizen. A citizen who has been previously considered as non-resident citizen and who arrives in the Philippines at the time during the taxable year to reside permanently in the Philippines shall likewise be treated as non-resident citizen for the taxable year in which he arrives in the Philippines with respect to his income derived from sources abroad until the date of his arrival in the Philippines. So kung dumating siya dito sa Pilipinas in the middle of the taxable year, he will be considered a non-resident citizen. And lastly, the taxpayer shall submit proof to the commissioner to show his intention to leave the Philippines, to reside permanently abroad, or to return to and reside in the Philippines as the case may be for the purpose of this section. So what is a resident alien? So resident alien means an individual who residence is within the Philippines and who is not the citizen thereof. So an example of that is yung mga expat. Nakatira sila dito sa Pilipinas, right? But hindi sila citizen ng Pilipinas. Okay? So usually ito yung mga multinational companies that they have headquarters in another country, and they have what you call a company here in the Philippines, or a headquarters here in the Philippines. So those are resident aliens. The term non-resident alien means an individual whose residence is not within the Philippines and who is not a citizen thereof. So ito naman yung mga hindi naman naninirahan dito sa Pilipinas. So nagbabakasyon lang, so they are considered non-resident aliens. The term resident foreign corporation applies to a foreign corporation engaged in trade or business within the Philippines. So an example of that are corporations, a foreign corporation who although they are not created, their charters or their bylaws is not created here in the Philippines, but they operate a business or do trade here in the Philippines. A non-resident foreign corporation applies to a foreign corporation not engaged in trade or business within the Philippines. So there are instances that there are foreign corporation who established here in the Philippines but does not cater any market here in the Philippines. Wala silang negosyo dito sa Pilipinas. It's just so happened that they established their office here in the Philippines probably to save cost on manpower, but their clients are not the citizens of the Philippines, or they do not do business or trade here in the Philippines. The term fiduciary means a guardian, trustee, executor, administrator, receiver, conservator, or any person acting in a fiduciary capacity for any person. So when you say fiduciary, there should be a court order for them to be considered as executor, administrator, and alike. The term withholding agent means any person required to deduct or withhold any tax under the provision of Section 57. So sino-sino ba yung mga withholding agents? So for employees, yung mga empleyado ng kumpanya, their withholding agents are their companies. So kung nakikita niyo yung mga payslip niyo, nakikita niyo may withholding tax doon, meaning your company is withholding that tax for you and pay that to the BIR, to the government. So therefore, the companies themselves became withholding tax agents. And for example, other corporation, nakikipagtransa ka, meron kang kumpanya, nakikipagtransa ka sa another company, and that company withheld a tax to your purchases, and those company who withheld those taxes are also considered withholding agents. And those withholding agents are remitting those taxes to the government. The term share of stock shall include shares of stock of a corporation, warrants, and or option to purchase share of stocks, as well as units of participation in a partnership, except general professional partnership. So joint stocks companies, joint accounts, joint ventures, taxable as corporation, association, and recreation or amusement clubs such as golf, polo, or similar clubs, and mutual fund certificate. So that is considered as, or that is defined in this law as a shares of stocks. The term shareholder shall include holders of shares of stocks, warrants, and options to purchase shares of stocks of a corporation, as well as holders of units of participation in a partnership, in a joint stock company, a joint account, and taxable joint venture, as members of association, recreation, or amusement clubs, and or holder of a mutual fund certificate, a member in an association or joint stock companies or insurance company. So, meaning shareholders are the owners of the stocks. And if you own a stock, definitely you are the owner of that company who issued those stocks. The term taxpayer means any person subject to tax imposed by this title. So when we say taxpayer, hindi lang yan tao, kasama dyan yung mga corporation and other taxable joint ventures. Next, we do have the term including, and it includes when used in the definition contains in this title shall be deemed to exclude other things other within the meaning of the term. So pag sinabing include, sila lang yung kasama doon. So if that is not included there, definitely the enumeration which was mentioned is not included or is excluded. Okay, next, the term taxable year means the calendar year or the fiscal year ending during such calendar year, upon the basis of which the net income is computed under this title. Taxable year includes, in the case of the return made for a fraction part of a year under the provision of this title, or under rules and regulation prescribed by the Secretary of Finance upon recommendation of the Commissioner, the period of which such return is made. So taxable year is basically 12 months. Okay? When you say calendar year, that is from January 1 to December 31 of the said year. But when you say fiscal year is any day in the month, any day within the year, then the end of that year is 1 year after. So that is the fiscal year. The term fiscal year means an accounting period of 12 months ending on the last day of the month of December. Oh, sorry, the fiscal year is the fiscal year is the months or the year that ends always on a December. So while the calendar year is the is 12 any day in the month and 12 months after or 1 year after. The term paid or incurred and paid or accrued shall be construed according to the methods of accounting upon the basis of which the net income is computed under this title. The term trade or business includes the performance of a function of a public office. So trade or business. So nagninegosyo ka or your usual function, you provide service to a client or customer, and that is considered trade or business. It does not only includes private people, but it also includes the government who provides public service through who provides public service or public um one moment, or who render services or offer products to the public. The term securities means share of stocks in a corporation or a right to subscribe for or to receive such share. The term includes bonds, debentures, notes, or certificate, or other evidence or indebtedness issued by any corporation, including those issued by a government or political subdivision thereof, which with interest coupons or in registered form. So when you say securities, usually it is issued by banks, but our government also issued securities, right? So hindi lang siya pang private companies or corporation, that also includes the government. The term dealer in security means a merchant of stocks or securities, whether an individual partnership or corporation with an established place of business regularly engaged in the purchase of securities and the resale thereof to customers. That is one who, as a merchant, buys securities and resell them to customers with a view to the gain and profit that may be derived from. So an example of dealers in securities is Cole Financial. What is Cole Financial? They sell stocks. So if you register, you can purchase stocks in the stock market. Then kung gusto mo na siyang ibenta, you can also sell it to them. So they are what you call a dealer in securities. Some of the banks also do dealership of securities and brokerage. Okay, the term bank means every banking institution as defined in Section 2 of Republic Act 337 as amended, otherwise known as the General Banking Act. A bank may either be commercial banking, a thrift banking, a development banking, a rural bank, or a specialized government bank. So what is a specialized government bank? An example of that is Land Bank of the Philippines. Right? So that is a specialized government bank. Rural bank, so if you go to provinces, usually you can see rural banks there. Rural Bank of Taytay, you have Rural Bank of Makati, right? Development bank, usually there is a development in their banks, in the name of the bank. Commercial banks such as BDO, BPI, and as such. The term non-banking financial intermediary means financial intermediaries as defined in Section 2DC of Republic Act 337 as amended, otherwise known as the General Banking Act, authorized by the Bangko Sentral of the Philippines to perform quasi-banking activities. What are quasi-banking activities? So an example of that is investments, right? They look like a bank, but they do not really accept deposits such as the normal banks are doing. The term quasi-banking activity means borrowing funds from 20 or more person or corporate lenders as at any one time, though the issuance, endorsement, or acceptance of debt instrument of any kind and other than deposits of the borrower's own account, or through the issuance of a certificate of assignment or similar instrument with recourse or of purchase agreements for purposes of relending or purchasing receivables and other similar obligations. So basically, nangihiram sila ng pera, the quasi-banking activity, nangihiram sila ng pera, then after nila manghiram ng pera, pinapautang naman nila ito doon sa mga customers na nangangailangan ng financing. Provided, however, that commercial, industrial, and other non-financial company which borrows funds through any of these means for a limited purpose of financing their own needs or the needs of their agents or dealers shall not be considered as performing quasi-banking function. The term deposit substitute shall means an alternative form of obtaining funds for the from the public. The term public means borrowed from 20 or more individuals or corporate lenders at any time. So other than deposits, through the issuance, endorsement, or acceptance of debts instrument for the borrower's own account for the purpose of relending or repurchasing of receivables and other obligations, or financing their own needs or the needs of their agents or dealers. So this instrument may include but not limited to bankers' acceptance, promissory notes, repurchase agreements, including reverse purchase agreements entered into by and between the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and any authorized banking agent, certificate of assignment or participation, and similar instrument with recourse, provided, however, that the debt instrument issued for interbank calls loan with maturity of not more than 5 days to cover deficiency in reserve against deposit liabilities, including those between or among banks and quasi-banks, shall not be considered as deposit substitute debt instrument. Next is the term ordinary income. So income includes any gains from sale or exchange of property which is not a capital asset or property described in section 39 of A paragraph 1. So any gain from sale of or exchange of property which is treated or considered under the under other provision of this title as ordinary income shall be treated as gain from sale or exchange of property which is not a capital asset as defined in section 39A1. The term ordinary loss includes any loss from the sale or exchange of property which is not a capital asset. Any loss from the sale or exchange of property which is treated treated or considered under other provision in this title as ordinary loss shall be treated as loss from the sale or exchange of property which is not a capital asset. So remember, although it is a property, right? You gain income from that property. It should not be a capital asset. The term rank and file employees shall mean all employees who are holding neither managerial nor supervisory position as defined under existing provision of the labor code as amended. Because in the labor code, the only two kinds of employees was defined. So first is the supervisory employee or supervisory positions. Then you have the managerial position, the managerial employee. So if your kind of work does not fall in those two kind of position, definitely you will be tagged as a rank and file employee. The term mutual fund company shall mean an open-ended and closed-ended investment company as defined under the Investment Company Act. So mutual fund, usually ito yung mga investment company instead of you as an individual, you will risk your money betting on a stock, either it will increase or will decrease. What you will do is you will just contribute your money to a mutual fund, and that mutual fund money manager will do the job for you. So sila yung mag-i-invest nung iyong money together with the money of other investors who invested in the mutual fund. Sila yung maglalagay ng investment mo doon sa mga securities which was defined earlier. The term trade, business, or profession shall not include performance of service by the taxpayer as an employee. Okay, so when you say trade, business, or profession, it shall not include your performance of service by the taxpayer as an employee. So for example, CPA ka, accountant ka, right? But you are doing an accounting activities in a company and you are employed there. That will not be considered, or the income that you are gaining from that employment will not fall into a business, trade, or profession because employed ka. Right? The term regional or area headquarters shall mean a branch established in the Philippines by a multinational company in which headquarters do not earn or derive income from the Philippines, in which act as supervisory, communication, and coordinating center for their affiliate subsidiaries or branches in the Asia Pacific region and other foreign markets. An example of that is JP Morgan, for example. JP Morgan is a call center here, or a BPO here in the Philippines. They have an office here in the Philippines, right? But they are not providing services. They are not providing their products here in the Philippines. What they do is they establish a business here in the Philippines. They establish a office or headquarters here in the Philippines to cater not the Filipinos or not the citizen or resident of the Philippines, but to cater their customers abroad, not in the Philippines. So that is what you call a regional or area headquarters. Right? The term regional operating headquarters shall mean a branch established in the Philippines by a multinational companies which are engaged in the following services: general administration and planning, business planning and coordination, sourcing and procurement of raw materials and components, corporate financing, advisory services, marketing, controls and sales, promotion, training and personnel management, logistics services, research and development services, in product development, technical support and maintenance, data processing and communication, and business development. Next is the long-term deposit or investment certificate. So this shall refer to a certificate of time deposit or investment in a form of savings, common or individual trust fund, deposit substitute, investment management accounts, and other investment with a maturity period of not less than 5 years. The form which shall be prescribed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and issued by banks only, not by non-bank financial intermediaries and financial companies. To individual, to denomination of 10,000 pesos and other denomination as may be prescribed by BSP or the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Okay. Next, the term statutory minimum wage. The statutory minimum wage shall refer to the rate fixed by the Regional Tripartite Wage and Productivity Board as defined by the Bureau of Labor and Employment Statistics of the Department of Labor and Employment. So in every region, iba-iba ng minimum wage. I think sa NCR yata, I don't know if nasa 600 na or nasa 540 pesos pa rin ang minimum wage. But here in Rizal province, mas mababa. I think dito sa Antipolo is about 420 pesos yata. I'm not sure. I'm not that sure about the minimum wage because it changes usually, nagbabago yan, right? Pero usually tumataas yan. Okay? Next, the term minimum wage earner shall refer to a worker in a private sector paid the statutory minimum wage or to an employee in the public sector which compensation income of not more than the statutory minimum wage in a non-agricultural sector where he is assigned. Okay? The term offshore gaming licensee, yan, ito medyo masalimuto o yung tinatawag nilang POGO, right? Shall refer to offshore gaming operators, whether organized abroad or in the Philippines, duly licensed and or authorized through a gaming license by the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation or any special economic zone authority or free port authority to conduct offshore gaming operation, including the acceptance of debt from offshore customer as provided for on their respective charter. So usually ito yung ang mga nagsusugal wala dito sa Pilipinas. Ang mga nagsusugal either online, right? Doon sila nagbe-bet online, either nasa China, nasa ibang bansa. But the dealer, yung nag-aano ng baraha, is nandito sa Pilipinas. Right? Yung nagdi-deal nung let's say poker game is nandito sa Pilipinas. Right? So that is what you call an offshore gaming licensee. Notwithstanding any law to the contrary, no offshore gaming license shall hereinafter be issued by the Aurora Pacific Economic Zone and Freeport Authority. All offshore licensee whose license was issued by the Aurora Pacific Economic Zone and Freeport Authority shall be transferred, regulated, and monitored by the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, or what we also known as PAGCOR. Because here in the Philippines, ang authorized lang na mag-provide ng license sa mga gaming is the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation. Bawal ang pagsusugal kung wala kang lisensya. Yan, dito tayo sa Pilipinas. Pwedeng magsugal, hindi bawal basta merong ang lisensya galing sa PAGCOR. But usually here in the Philippines, si PAGCOR yung nagbibigay ng lisensya, si PAGCOR din yung operator ng mga casino. Right? So, makikita niyo yan sa, I think dito sa may UN Avenue, di ba? Meron diyang PAGCOR. Okay, so for the purpose of this section, an offshore gaming licensee shall be considered engaging in doing business in the Philippines. Right? So, sabi nga natin kanina, if your client is not here in the Philippines, hindi ka dapat, you are considered not doing business in the Philippines. But because of the amendments in the train law, ang nilagay nila doon specifically for the offshore gaming licensee shall be considered engaged in doing business in the Philippines. So parang masyado silang tinutukan, right? Dahil tinarget talaga sila because this is a multi-billion industry that the Philippines will definitely benefit from, right? The term offshore gaming licensee, gaming agent shall refer to the representative in the Philippines of an offshore-based operator who shall act as a resident agent for the mere purpose of receiving summons, notices, and other legal processes for the offshore gaming licensees and to comply with the disclosure requirement of the Securities and Exchange Commission. So the offshore gaming licenses, gaming licensee, gaming agents shall not be involved with the business operation of the offshore gaming licensees and shall derive no income therefrom. So ibig sabihin, this POGO must assign, okay, a agent that will receive any legal processes that will be sent to them by the authorities of the Philippines. And that ends our the week